Aryans embodied the rule that Vaidyo Narayana Harihi, which means that doctors are equivalent to Lord Vishnu. But this doesn't hold good for the present day doctors. There's a lot of change in the doctor-patient relationship since last 2 decades. With the establishment of Consumer Protection Act, increasing consumer awareness and commercialization affecting all spheres of life, all these things have adversely affected the doctor-patient relationship. And the litigations against the doctors are on an increase. Recently, Supreme Court has awarded a damage of rupees 7 crores against the 3 doctors and the AMRI Hospital of Calcutta, so which is the highest amount in the history of India. There are certain guidelines for good medical practice which has been laid, like the Declaration of Geneva of 1948, the Indian Medical Council Act of 1956, the Consumer Protection Act of 1986, and the inclusion of medical services in CPA in 1995. So, having all these acts in action, if a patient wants to frame a charge against a doctor, he doesn't know where to approach, whether he should approach the Consumer Dispute Forum or the Civil Court or the Criminal Court or the Medical Council. If we consider the Medical Council in India, the results may be biased because all the members are doctors, and after all, it cannot award damages. If we consider the courts, there may be a delay in judgment and it is also expensive. So the answer is an alternate dispute resolution system which should be easy, quick, accessible, cheap, and effective. And the answer is the Consumer Protection Act, which has been enacted in 1986. It empowers the consumer with the right to safety, information, choose, heard, and claim redressal, and consumer education. With the landmark judgment of the case of IMA versus VP Shanta in 1995 by Supreme Court of India, the service rendered by medical professional comes under CPA. It defines the conditions such as who is a consumer, what is medical negligence, what is deficiency in service, and under which conditions the medical practitioner will be held responsible. The consumer has been defined as a person who hires or avails any services for a consideration which has been paid or promised, or partly paid and partly promised, or under any system of deferred payment. The words any service in the CPA aims to bring the delinquent medical practitioners in the ambit of Consumer Protection Act. It also defines deficiency in service. Deficiency means a fault, imperfection, shortcoming, inadequacy in quality, nature, or the manner of performance then that is required. Service has been defined as service of any description, which may be consultation, diagnosis, or treatment, but it doesn't include rendering the service free of charge under a contract of personal service. Actually, there are 2 types of services, like contract for service and contract of service. Contract of service is the relationship between the master and servant, which doesn't come under the ambit of CPA. So we will be discussing the services which is contract for service. It is defined as a contract whereby one party undertakes to render services such as professional or technical services to another party, in which the service provider is not subjected to a detailed direction and control. So any deficiency in this type of service will give rise to negligence. There are 2 types of professional negligence, like civil negligence and criminal negligence. Civil negligence comes under the ambit of CPA, which includes malpractice and deficiency in service, which we'll be discussing further. So before going to negligence, a doctor owes a duty to the patients to treat a patient, and he should exercise reasonable skill and care to decide whether he has to undertake a case and what treatment to be given, and administration of that treatment, failing which it would be considered as negligence. In the Bolam versus Fryan Hospital Management case, which is a landmark case in 1957, there has been 3 criteria which has been set for safety of medical professional. That is, a doctor holds good himself as ready to give medical treatment, should exercise reasonable skill, care, and knowledge. In the in the landmark decision of Jacob Matthew case versus State of Punjab in 2001, it states that a medical professional would never commit an act or omission resulting in loss or injury to his patient, which may, so under any circumstances, a medical practitioner will never be considered as a criminal unless otherwise proved. So what is this act of commission or act of omission? Act of omission, as the name suggests, to omit something like failure to perform essential tests before surgery like blood pressure management, blood sugar test, and doing a lacrimal passage irrigation, intraocular pressure checkup, and excluding retinal detachment and conjunctivitis before an IOL surgery. And its failure to see that the patient is furnished with detailed information about his clinical condition. It is also, act of omission is also failure to give appropriate advice to the patient, maintain asepsis in the operation and also during surgery, and ask about drug sensitivity and systemic diseases. Act of commission is failure to commit something which is not to be committed, like to perform a surgery when it is not indicated and prescribe drugs when they are contraindicated. So, negligence can be defined as an act which is direct and proximate cause of loss or injury to the patient, and any breach in the responsibility or duty owed to his patient and which results in actual damage to his patient. It is evident from the case of Lakshman Joshi versus Babu Godbole in 1969, where a fracture was reduced without inadequate dose of anesthesia and the doctor is held responsible for the act. And also the negligence is breach of duty arising from omission of an act or commission of an act which a prudent or reasonable doctor would do. So now let's see what is not negligence. A mere deviation from normal professional practice is not negligence. A simple lack of care, an error of judgment, or an accident will not constitute negligence. And a procedure which has been adopted acceptable to the medical science as on that date will not be negligence, though there might be other procedures available on that date. And if the doctor has attended the patient with due care, skill, and diligence, it is not negligence. Merely a complication which has occurred will not constitute negligence. After all, medical man is not an insurer. He cannot give warranty of successfulness of treatment or cure of patient. Under section 13 of CPA, he is free to choose whom he will serve, however he will respond to medical emergencies. Coming to the types of hospitals which are covered under CPA, there are three types of hospitals. Where the services are totally free to all patients doesn't come under CPA, like government hospitals where only nominal charges are there for registration. There are also other hospitals where the services are paid to all patients. They come under the ambit of CPA. And the charitable hospitals are there where patients are all charged except charity. There the pre-patients can also claim and they act as consumer. And if a patient has been given treatment under CGS scheme, he cannot be a consumer. And railway employees operated or treated in a railway hospital cannot be a consumer. Now, coming to the responsibilities of an hospital, failing which there will be negligence. It is to maintain the asepsis all over the hospital and also not only in the operation theatre but also throughout the hospital. And a hospital holds vicarious responsibility towards all its staffs, including nurses, doctors, residents, anesthetists, surgeons, irrespective of whether they are temporary or permanent, visiting or part-time. And if the hospital doesn't employ qualified doctors or nurses, it itself is negligence. And consultant delegating his responsibility to his junior is also negligence. So, how to avoid or prevent these litigations? At personal level, one should have proper MCI guided qualification, training and experience, and Communication is the key point in the doctor-patient relationship. We should have a polite and sympathetic attitude towards the patient, relatives, and attendants. There should be academic and technical upgradations by attending conferences, CMEs, and a hospital and the medical practitioner himself should have some knowledge about the medical ethics and laws. We should take regular feedbacks from the patients regarding the hospital setup, regarding the charges, and regarding the services provided. At practice, the doctor should exercise reasonable skill and care, which a person with similar qualification and experience would do under similar situations. And he should be able to exhibit this reasonable skill and care through his body actions and through his through expressions and through discussions, which is very important to gain the confidence of the patient. There should be proper documentation and informed consent. Certain negative documentations are also important, like if the patient is not following your advice and refusal to do any investigations, and if the patient doesn't come for a follow-up at the proper date. Professional indemnity by insurance gives a sense of mental satisfaction to mental security to the medical professionals, and also it meets the claims, if any. So the relationship between doctor and hospital and patients is a relationship of trust. Doctors are still known as healers, and there is no real alternative. Let not commercialization destroy the edifice of medical practice. Thank you all.